It was a calm night, the last Saturday of December. The young Kate McClure was anxious, but not as usual. She needed to figure out which path to take regarding her future, because she had just found out that she was going to become a mother. Immediately, she decided that the first person she would tell the news to would be her best friend, and she had to do it in person. She had to take the car and drive a few hours to get to Philadelphia, where her friend was living since the beginning of that year. Still a little shook by the news, Kate got the car keys, her bag, and left in a hurry to get there as soon as possible. She got in the car and went on the road. Kate was feeling anxious. There were many thoughts going through her mind. How would she tell Mark, her boyfriend? Would he be happy? Kate was worried about all the consequences that could come from the news, and she needed her friend to calm her down and hug her at that moment. She was halfway through when she felt the car stop suddenly. The car was out of gas. There were no signs, restaurants, or any establishments in sight. It was completely deserted, and impulsively, Kate thought of using her phone to see if there was a gas station nearby, but her phone had no signal. She looked for her wallet in the bag to walk somewhere and try to find help, but realized she had forgotten it at home. So, Kate decided to walk down the road anyways to look for help. After a few minutes of walking, Kate heard a voice coming from behind. She turned around and saw a man coming after her from a short distance, shaking his hand desperately. It was a man wearing dirty clothes and old shoes, and she felt relieved and worried at the same time, because she didn't know that stranger's intentions. Although he seemed like her only chance of finding a way to get out of there. He approached Kate and asked if the car parked on the side of the road was hers. Yes, that's my car. It ran out of gas, my phone was out of range, and I couldn't ask for help, said Kate. This is a very dangerous place. You should come back, at least to lock your car, and I can take you to a gas station safely, the man said amicably. Kate thanked him, went back to lock the car, and walked along with him to the gas station. She asked his name and he said she could call him Bobbitt. She introduced herself and they started talking, sharing their life stories. Bobbitt said he was a former Marine and firefighter, but was living in the streets for a while after going through a rough period after his wife died. He used to live in a shelter, but preferred the streets because he didn't have to follow any strict rule like he did in that place. He felt free in the streets. Kate said she was going to Philadelphia to tell some big news to her best friend. Bobbitt seemed curious about the news, and Kate decided to tell him about her pregnancy. Bobbitt was surprised and worried with Kate, telling her that she really shouldn't be alone in the middle of the road like that, especially with a baby on the way. After a while, they got to the gas station, and Bobbitt said he had $20 for her to pay for the gas and get to Philadelphia without worrying. Her eyes filled with tears, seeing the kindness of that man. He had almost nothing left and gave her all without asking anything in return. She asked him where he was sleeping and said that she would be back to thank him properly. But Bobbitt insisted that it was not necessary, that he did that because he felt in his heart that he should help. He thanked Kate for the conversation they had and wished her good luck with the baby. Kate smiled and thanked too, saying goodbye and getting back on the road, but knowing that she would find Bobbitt again and repay him. After that day, Kate met up with her friend and drove back to tell everything to her boyfriend. He was really happy with the pregnancy and hugged her tightly. She continued telling him about what happened on the road, about Bobbitt helping her, and she said she wanted to repay him properly because he treated her with true kindness. Kate told her boyfriend Mark about the difficult life Bobbitt had, and he also felt sensitive about it. So they decided to think of the best way to help. Then they came up with the best idea. They decided to raise funds online for Bobbitt to have the chance to live where he deserved with more dignity. After they made the decision, Kate and Mark drove to the place where Bobbitt was living with a bag full of supplies, food, and water. As soon as they got there, they told him about the idea of raising money online, and Bobbitt got really excited and happy for what they were doing for him. He had no idea of how much his life was about to change. Kate, Mark, and Bobbitt got really close and built a friendship from that moment on. After a couple of weeks, many people felt sensitive about Bobbitt's life story and contributed with what they could until they raised more than $10,000. After 3 more months, the number multiplied, and they reached the amount of $70,000. The 3 of them got really emotional with the amount of people that helped Bobbitt. All of them genuinely cared and raised their hands without expecting anything in return, just like Bobbitt did with Kate. This was definitely an encounter that changed the lives of everyone involved, especially Bobbitt's, who now has a home and a better life, besides making really good friends. Who would have thought that an incident in the middle of the road could turn out so well? If you know any similar stories, write about it in the comments, like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fantastic stories.